Hey, what's up everybody? It's time for a tour of my office/studio. Now, an office/studio is a lot of different things for a lot of different people. For me, it's where I do my work, it's where I stream, it's where I submit auditions in my vocal booth, and a lot of times it's just where I go to create and be, chill. So, let's have a look at what I've got inside here. Come with me. So the first thing you notice when you walk in is this sketch signed by Chris Sanders, a very talented, lovely human being who is a director on a project that I worked on for one day just doing some ADR. So very often when they create these projects, they take years to get going and they'll do a lot of preliminary voice work. So I did this one day of work on this character that was a dog. And I asked Chris, what does the dog look like? He goes, he grabbed a notepad that he had for sketches, whips up this very quick Sharpie sketch that turned into the main character of the movie, Bolt. I thought, this is so wonderful. Can I keep this? He goes, yeah, this is for you. Let me sign it. He signs it and I go, thanks so much. All right, well, let me take this home. And I started to fold it. He says, no, don't fold it. You're gonna have a crease in it. So he grabs the notepad that he drew it from, puts it inside, keeps it flat, hands it to me and says, put this on your seat and drive home and don't ever fold it. I said, thank you, I wasn't thinking. I'm frequently not thinking, but I did think enough to frame it. This is the Edgerly family crest, which I believe was painted by my dad and based on, I suppose, some Edgerly family crest we found somewhere. Who knows? Your guess is as good as mine. This is a signed script cover from The Death of Harvey, the final episode in Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, where I had the privilege of playing Peter-Potamus, where I used to say things like, hey, did you get that thing I sent you? So, as we step inside, we have a lot of memorabilia from projects I've worked on, and in one case, a project I have to attribute a lot of my creative drive. This is an original animation cell from Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings animated movie, which was animated using rotoscope technology, where, a lot of you may know this is sort of an early precursor to performance capture. They animated over live action film. This is a really trippy, kind of a freaky take on the movies from, I believe, 1978 when I was about 9 years old. Stuck in my brain for a long time. I'm so glad I have this. Here is a really cool assemblage of caricatures of Disney greats throughout the decades. And this is something that I got from D23, where I got to be a part of a panel of the voices of the theme parks there. So in the theme parks, I've had the opportunity to do the voice of Scuttle, from The Little Mermaid. I took over from Buddy Hackett. And also Timothy Mouse. Yeah, that's right. Dumbo's Wild Ride. These are clocks which I refuse to turn on because why? Well, because they are the old-fashioned clocks with the hands which go tick, 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 tick. And I don't want to hear that while I'm trying to work and create. But I do love to look at them. So here's one from The Simpsons, and this is the original characterization of the family. And this is the current characterization of the family. And this from, of course, Harvey Birdman. Love to see him, even if the time is only right twice a day. So right here, I have a personalized Simpsons license plate. In my case, this is Detonator, a character that's recurred a couple of times, and oddly enough, he's a content creator who does video game walkthroughs. Here we have another animation cell from a project I got to work on, Dragons Riders of Berk and Dragons Race to the Edge, and which I played Gobber the Belch. I had a great time doing this series, and playing Stoic in the series with me was Nolan North, a good buddy of mine, and it's great to have a cell with the two of us together. Right here we have a memorabilia piece from a legendary Simpsons episode, Homer at the Bat, which is in the Baseball Hall of Fame. This one is signed by Homer himself, Dan Castellaneta. You're gonna notice a preponderance of Simpsons stuff on my wall and in my office. It's because it's the greatest gig I will ever have, and it's the greatest show that will ever be. So, it's fairly well represented here. Over here, my first Simpsons script that I was able to get signed by as much of the cast and production team as I could probably fit on the page there. And this was from the very first season where I joined them, and this was back in 2010. Right here we have, for those of you who have seen Disney's Zootopia, and if you haven't, you should, because it's a wonderful film. I got to do a table read for a different project with Raymond. He's one of the animators of the project, and he worked on Zootopia as well. And you might know him as Flash, 100-Yard Dash, Flash the Sloth from Zootopia. So he drew this for me, and he signed it for my kids, Remy and Violet, who also love that movie. And here is one of my favorite photographs I've ever taken. That's right, that is me and Stan the Man Lee. Stan did an episode of The Simpsons, and I got a chance to chat with him in the green room, and Stan was the nicest guy you'd ever hope to meet. Here we have my actual array of other tchotchkes here from different things. This is a first aid kit from Celebrity Deathmatch. When they brought it back for MTV2, I got to play Nick Diamond, one of the announcers, and referee Mills Lane. Let's get it on! Well, it's an actual first aid kit. I'm not sure the expiration date. 2008. Probably shouldn't open these. Here is my Apex shelf. I've got other Apex stuff, but this is the stuff I really wanted to be able to see every day. And some of it is fan art, and this is a really cool fan sculpture piece. This is made by Eric Tyler. He just grabbed stuff from around his yard, just little bits of wood, and made a really cool Pathfinder. High five. Down here, more Simpson stuff, and a lot of this is, they've had a lot of great parties over the years. Some of my guest passes. These are guest passes from Comic-Con and D23, things I really enjoyed attending. Two of my favorite Simpsons pieces here are signed ball caps of Nelson and Bart, signed by the voices. Nelson and Bart, Nancy Cartwright. Now down here we have a mug from F is for Family, a really cool show to be a part of. Mike Price, the co-creator of it, along with Bill Burr, one of my favorite comedians ever. Mike brought me on just to do some random voices for the show over 2 or 3 seasons. I so loved my time there. Everybody was great. And this is White House Lager, basically a brand of beer from the show, and just had the best time working on it. And Bill Burr, great on the show, and just wonderful person to work for. He was always so complimentary of the cast and everyone that worked there. So that's the kind of people you like to be hooked up with in this business. And here we have just a little sample of fan mail I've gotten over the years. Now, most fan mail now comes in the form of maybe a tweet, or somebody finds you on social media. But back in the old days, people would write letters. And some of these are from as far away as China, Japan. I've had people from Russia send me old bits of memorabilia from where they're from. And I've always really appreciated this because it reminds me that I get to work in a business that reaches people all over the world. And whenever they can reach back, I think it's just so cool. Some more fan art as well. This is Hedon. I thought this is actually so cool. I gotta stick that on the wall where I can see it. This is actually from a game that I worked on occasionally, but I don't know much about it. And right here, oh yeah, don't forget this. I'm never quite sure where to put these, but I used to collect comic books. Now back in the 80s, we collected comic books thinking, these are gonna be worth so much money someday. But they're not, really. They have sentimental value. They're mainly from the 80s, but for the most part, these are just comics I'm gonna pass along to my kids. And here we have the Blue Velvet Couch. Enough said. Over here we have my array of flat caps. Now I never know quite which flat cap I want to wear on which day, so I just sort of look, pop it on and go, okay, done. Accessories completed. This is, for all intents and purposes, my workspace. I like to keep things pretty neat and clean because my mind is cluttered, so my environment has to be kind of structured. Xbox, screen, Mac, keyboard, Rubik's Cube I solved months ago and now refuse to touch. I've got some memorabilia, some merch that I have signed that I'm going to run on over to Streamily for the people who bought it on Streamily in my store. Thank you very much. You're going to get that soon. Over here we have a very special clock, which also I refuse to turn on. This is the Ministry of Silly Walks from Monty Python. If you don't know Monty Python, then I don't want to know you. But Google them and look up the Ministry of Silly Walks. It's one of my very favorite comedy sketches of all time. So right here we have something I'm also proud of, my college degree, which I've never really used, but the experience of getting the degree was great. This is in journalism. Never really quite got into journalism. Never directly into writing the news, but I like to keep it as a reminder of something I achieved many years ago. And a very special privileged place here for me is a certificate for being a part of the final cast of the episode that won The Simpsons the Emmy for Best Animated Program in 2018-2019. I framed this, and it's a reminder of how lucky I am to be on such a wonderful show. So right here we have the first and what I hope will be several movie stills from my favorite movies. This, my lovely wife got for me because she knows me. It's from Lawrence of Arabia. And again, if you don't know that movie, I don't want to know you. It's the greatest movie ever made, I think. Peter O'Toole, Omar Sharif, they're amazing in it. Check it out. And here, something I don't want to overlook. All of you gamers and content creators out there, you know you're on screens for a long time. You should have it. Eye drops. You don't blink enough when you're on screens. Hydrate the old eyes. Over here, the vocal booth with, of course, a movable Ministry of Silly Box. And a few extra hats. Greatest concert I've ever been to, the Police, Dodger Stadium, back in 2007. Here we have Edgevoice Studios. Come with me, take a quick look. So, this was built by lavocalbooths.com, which they built to my specifications. Got a lot of nice features in here, which I will go into on another video, but for the most part, this is where the magic happens. I use my KSM Shure 32 or the SM7. Boom, lay down my auditions, record my sessions, and send them off. So, this wraps up the old studio / office / studio tour. Thanks so much for coming with me. Now you know where and how I operate.